Hi teachers! Today I'm going to do a presentation on instructional design for professional development. Essentially, instructional design is lesson planning with the inclusion of technology. According to Cox 2020, a lesson plan is a detailed step-by-step guide that outlines the teacher's objectives for what the students will accomplish during the lesson and how they will learn it. Creating a lesson plan involves setting goals, developing activities, and determining the materials that you will use. For example, a high school history lesson might focus on first century Rome, so the teacher would explain to students that they are expected to learn the salient facts about the empire's government, its population, daily life, and culture. It is not difficult to see that some learning materials are presented with fancy media and interactive elements. Therefore, some may think that instructional designers should have extensive media skills, excellent writing skills, as well as graphic designing skills. In some workplaces, the instructional designer just focuses on ensuring the flow of the learning content and the development of the storyboard. In other workplaces, the instructional designer has to be involved in the media and graphic designing tasks. Despite these tasks, the instructional designer is considered as the soul of creating effective learning materials. As an educator, I love learning. Having a degree will enable an instructional designer to adapt learning plans to various audiences and content. On the other hand, there are degreed instructional designers who could create poor learning plans. Instructional designers need to be obsessed with learning everything. As professionals in a learning field, we should be able to get the knowledge needed to fill in our gaps as well as grow and expand. It is important that an instructional designer is a self-learner, motivated to study, learn, share, collaborate, and discuss subjects related to their lesson plans. Subjects that I had to learn and focus on to create a mini course within a learning management system included visual communication and video production. I had to write instructional text, audio, and video scripts. I had to imagine myself as a student and visualize instructional graphics, the user interface, interactions, and the finished product. I took advantage of relevant tutorials and podcasts. I had to learn things in a completely different field and transfer this knowledge to my instructional design. An instructional designer needs to know how to connect with students on an emotional level, according to Cox 2020. The anticipatory step involves the teacher working to get students excited about the upcoming lesson. For that reason, some lesson plan formats actually put this step first. Creating an anticipatory set means doing something that creates a sense of anticipation and expectancy in the students. This could include an activity, a game, a focused discussion, viewing a film or video clip, a field trip, or a reflective exercise. For example, for a kindergarten lesson on math non-standard measurement, I plan to give this class options to play a non-standard measurement game or watch a non-standard measurement movie. By contrast, in a high school class setting, getting ready to study William Shakespeare's play, Romeo and Juliet, students might write a short, reflective essay on a love they lost, such as a former boyfriend or girlfriend, according to Cox 2020. An instructional designer should conceptually and intuitively understand how students learn, which is through different modes of instruction, so that all students can learn based on their individual needs. According to Lewis 2020, when determining your methods of direct instruction, consider the following questions. How can I best tap into the various learning modalities, audio, visual, tactile, kinesthetic, etc., to meet the learning style preferences of as many students as possible? What materials, books, videos, mnemonic devices, visual aids, props, etc. are available to me for this lesson? What relevant vocabulary do I need to present to my students during the lesson? What will my students need to learn in order to complete the lesson plan's objectives and independent practice activities? How can I engage my students in the lesson and encourage discussion and participation? The mini-course on non-standard measurement included 2 audio-visual lessons of me reading books via a screencast. I created the presentation on PowerPoint and then recorded myself reading it using Room, which is a screencasting software. After that, I uploaded it into YouTube and then added questions to the book readings using Edpuzzle. Finally, I embedded the videos into the Canvas learning management system. I included a resource page within the LMS for the students to have access to websites that include online games, books, drawing tools, and a movie on non-standard measurement. I also have the links of my lessons reading the books on this page for their review anytime, anywhere. I included a list of relevant vocabulary words for the students to view online or print out to review. The activities I planned involved the students measuring things at home using non-standard measuring units. They were instructed to take pictures and or make videos of themselves doing the activities and the results reported in their journals on the worksheet. The students were to upload their measuring results onto the discussions page and ask a question at the end of it. They would also respond to a classmate's question. Instructional designers need to brainstorm creative instructional strategies. According to Lewis 2020, instructional designers should think outside the box and try to discover fresh new ways to engage your students' collective attention to the lesson concepts at hand. While you may be used to this age-old instructional technique, it can be difficult to make it engaging, and your students' attention can easily drift. Lecture can also be a challenge for younger students to absorb and doesn't resonate with all learning styles. Examples of giving direct instruction according to Lewis are listed next. Read a book such as Life in the Rainforest, Plants, Animals, and People by Melvin Berger. Talk about the characteristics of plants and animals mentioned in the book, and get students involved in writing characteristics on a whiteboard or large piece of paper on the wall. Often simply getting students up out of their seats will increase their level of engagement. Show the class a real live plant and walk them through the functions of the different parts of the plant. Turn this into a long-term project to keep the plant alive, which can translate one lesson of rainforest to an entirely new lesson plan of parts of a flower. Show the class a real living exotic animal, perhaps a small pet brought in from home or a classroom pet borrowed from another teacher. Discuss the parts of the animal, how it grows, what it eats, and other characteristics. According to Shift Learning 2019, student-centered instruction is one where learners do more exploring and instructors do less telling. Such an approach makes a lot of sense since the aim, after all, is to turn students into active participants. Instructors or trainers are tasked to assume the role of a facilitator or someone to guide students in acquiring knowledge and applying newly acquired skills. According to Shift Learning 2019, instructional designers should consider the instructional material they're working on and ask themselves the following questions. How will the students learn? What will they learn? How can we effectively determine whether students are learning and applying their lessons? Under what conditions are students learning? I.e., are they doing the course as a part of their assigned roles at work? By asking these questions, you are deliberately designing instructional materials that focus on learners. Every aspect of the design and development stages are geared towards their specific needs. Being an educator these days requires the implementation and use of technology and learning plans within an online learning environment, since it has become necessary for students to learn online. It is not only vital that we know technology to create interesting learning plans, but also to include them in the lesson plans for students to utilize for learning. The end, and these are the references.